Yeah, we'll get started here in just a second. Give a couple more people a chance. I always get several emails running a little late, going to jump in as soon as they can. Don't want anyone to miss this presentation, but welcome, Jeff. Welcome, John. Just met John just yesterday. So, man, I talk about a minute man jumping on to say hi to us. So, hey, why don't you, John, take a minute and tell everyone who you are and what you do.
Sure. Thanks, Breck. It was great to meet you yesterday. Super excited to learn more about this group and the great presentation you guys are going to have today. My name is John Villadal. I live in the Portland, Oregon area, just outside of Portland, actually, in Beaverton. And
I was born in Beaverton.
What's that?
I was born in Beaverton.
No way.
Yep.
That's crazy.
Love it.
It's a great city, man. You know, it's a hidden secret. It's a beautiful area up here in Oregon. If no one's ever been, you should come visit. I've got a long background between the military, Big Four consulting, Fortune 100 stuff, and now I work in my own business called Unleash Epic. I help small business owners, with consulting and tools to help them advance their business. So that's what I'm doing, and I'm here to learn. So thanks, everyone. Good to meet y'all.
Yeah, welcome, John. Long career in consumer goods. Last big stint was with a little company. Maybe a few of you might have heard of them. Let's see, it's on this side.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah. Home
It's
Hey,
funny
John,
because
did John go to Portland State?
What's that?
Did you go to Portland State?
No, I'm not from here. I've lived all over the place, but I moved here about 7 years ago. But Portland State's a great. I have a really good friend who was one of their star receivers back in the 90s.
I played against them in college. The quarterback they had, because I'm older than you, was Neil Lomax.
Okay.
Oh my.
Wow, that's cool.
You got tired, did you, Phil, chasing him around?
I have a bad experience there, so
What the assassin, the fastest guy on the field was Phil. So
Portland, they were Neil Lomax was legendary at his senior year. They actually beat our team, Weber State, pretty badly.
He probably threw for 350 a game.
Oh, they were running a run and shoot at the
Yeah.
time when it was kind of a revolutionary in that concept, and he was just an outstanding quarterback. Came here when the Cardinals were here brand new.
And then
wow.
you got
Arizona.
necritis in his hip or whatever, right?
Right.
This year, Portland State opens up at the University of Oregon, so they have a pretty tough opening game.
Yep. All right, welcome everyone. We'll go ahead and get started.
Okay.
We want to make sure that we're wrapping up in time here. We have a wonderful presentation that I'm excited to share this new technology with you. I'm excited about it. Have some personal experience in one of the preventative areas of this that I'm excited to get out to market. But this is a mastermind referral group that I co-host with Bob Friedenthal weekly on Thursdays. A good group of people that come together, a lot of PharmDs because of my industry, but a lot of small business owners and business leaders, some PhDs, a couple of lawyers, doctors that join us every once in a while. Over 160 people in this group now, and obviously not everyone can be here every week, but when you can be here, it's always a fun time. We always learn something, and looking forward to learning something again today. But I've kind of, over my career have felt like I've had a superpower that I know a guy. And now today with social media, that's turned into several thousand guys and gals that I know. And so we started this group to kind of help, individuals get connected to those that they're looking to be connected with. And so that's why it's a referral group here, and it's totally free to join. It's not like some of the other networking groups that charge you a fee. We're all about making this available to anyone, and very accessible. But I learned way back 30 some years ago in my early sales career. I learned from a master trainer, Zig Ziglar, that if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And so that's kind of the principle behind this. And then even more recently, Tony Robbins teaches the principle that the secret to living is giving. And so that's where we want to do it in this group is help others and give. And so that's why we come together each week. So thank you for being here. I want to let me make sure that Gunther can share his screen. He probably has some slides for us. So excited about this new technology that Gunther's going to talk about today because we are going to pilot it right here in my home state with some of our pharmacy partners here. It's an amazing therapy that patients can come in and get that will it will deter like 18 different cancers, one of those being melanoma. That's where the personal experience comes in. Back a few years ago when I was living out in the Memphis area, actually Germantown, Tennessee, so a little bubble community outside of the crime of Memphis, nice little safe community. My wife had just a weird spot on her hip, and she was actually seeing the dermatologist for our daughter. And she just said, "Hey, doc, take a look at this. This is something that just doesn't look right." So she had to bring it to the doctor's attention. She said, "Yeah, let's do a biopsy." And unfortunately, when they biopsied it, they sliced the tumor and found out that it was melanoma. And so that's really scary because if you cut into the tumor, it can spread faster. And so, of course, they had to rush her in and hurry and take out a much bigger incision, wide incision, in order to hopefully get all of the tumor. Very scary time for us in our life. And it was in an area, everyone thinks melanoma comes from the sun. Oh, it was probably because she had too much sun exposure when she was younger. But it was in an area on her hip that would have always been covered by a swimming suit. And so that was like, how could this possibly be? Then you start doing some research and you find out melanoma shows up in between people's toes. Well, that never sees the sun. It shows up in their, bottoms, areas that don't ever see the sun. And so, melanoma doesn't necessarily come directly from overexposure in the sunlight, but the sun has so many amazing benefits, right? You can get so many things that help with your immune system. You can get all kinds of vitamin D and all kinds of amazing things, but it unfortunately comes with that UVA, which is the bad things that can burn you. So new medical device that is just about to launch, and you guys are getting the first introduction to it and exposure to it. The company is called Energy. They don't know how to spell. They spell it with a Y, E-N-Y, R-G-Y, but that's okay because I'm dyslexic and I feel sorry for somebody that is so close-minded they can only spell a word one way. You should be open-minded enough to spell words differently. So I applaud Energy with a Y. But yeah, I wanted to turn some time over to their Chief Revenue Officer, Gunther Mueller, who's now a new friend of mine. He lives a little bit further up north than where I am, but we meet up down in Scottsdale. Is kind of a good central location for both of us. So Gunther.
Hey, Breck, thank you very much for having me here today. Super excited to share this information. And a lot of times the spelling of a company name comes down to what domain name you can get, okay?
Exactly.
You like to be creative, but sometimes it comes down to the real estate's been taken, so you got to spell it differently, which may present a problem in the future because, energy is spelled one way. So I want to ask everybody here, are you planning on being in the sun at least for 20 minutes today, completely naked? How many of you have that in your calendar today?
Way to go, Jeff.
All right, Jeff's got it down. All right, because this is the key. When we do go into the sun, we've been programmed by a multi-$100 million business called the sunscreen industry to cover up. And when you put the sunscreen on, you're blocking all of the good UVB light that is coming. The sun is 95% UVA and 5% UVB. And what we've been able to patent and create here at Energy is 95% UVB and only 5% of the UVA, which is the part of the sunlight that burns you. And how many of you know what would happen if you took a plant and put it in the closet for a month? What would happen to the plant?
Yeah.
Yeah, it would just die, right? So the sun is really the sustainer of all life, yet we've been taught and encouraged not to expose ourselves to the sun. So just give you a little background of mine. I am a 30+ year entrepreneur, been in multiple industries from coffee to restaurants to food distribution, solar, you name it. I've been in those businesses, and I've been in the medical space for the last decade plus. My other half is a naturopathic physician. We own a practice called Get Well Scottsdale. You can check it out at getwellscottsdale.com. We specialize in hormone optimization through pellet therapy. I'm the guy that, with a team of about 5 people, took BioT Medical to about an $80 million a year company. I've trained over 300 physicians on how to do pellet therapy and nutritional optimization and all that kind of stuff. So my other half's a PhD in nutrition and all. So I'm always looking for the thing. I started promoting pellet therapy in 2010, 2011, when nobody really knew what a pellet was. And now it's pretty prevalent all across the United States. And so I probably put, I don't know, 20,000 people on pellets through patient seminars and helping medical practices and medical professionals, practitioners generate cash-based revenue in their practices, because, these insurance companies want to keep lowering the reimbursements and tightening how much providers get to make in their world. And so, really having cash-based revenue in a medical practice is critical these days to pay the rent and pay the light bill and pay your staff and all that. So I'm going to share a little screen here and start off just by going over that concept. Everybody can see that okay? Yes?
Yep.
Okay, cool. And I've got too many windows open here. Let me shrink some of that. Okay, I got you on the side there. So if I flip the screen here, you see that flip? Yes.
Yep, we still see the screen. Yep.
Attract and retain clients. Is that what you see there?
Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool. So that's where business is at. Whatever you do for business, you have to be able to attract and retain clients. And there has to be some reason why you are bringing them in. There has to be some benefit. So I always like to think in terms of what's in it for them. What's in it for your new client, your new prospect, your new customer? And then secondly, what is it going to be that they continue to come to your place of business so that you don't have to work so hard? And, when I was in the restaurant business, there's only 3 things you can do. And this is true for any business. You can go get a new customer. You can get the customer that you already have to buy more frequently. And you can get the customer you already have to buy more stuff. That's the only 3 things you can do in business. So this is a revenue stream that is based on subscription-based, renewable, repeatable income that does not need you to leverage your staff any more than their staff. When I was working directly in practices with practitioners, one of the number 1 things the staff always told me was, oh my gosh, Dr. So-and-so went to some conference and he's coming back with all these ideas. And then he just loads that work onto us and we have to actually implement it, right? So every time he went off to a conference, he's bringing me a new idea and we got to do this stuff. And the staff's like, I'm already busy. I can't do one more thing. So the good news is here, your staff's not going to have to do anything. So it's great for the existing labor you have, and it can scale within any business, let's say, that has foot traffic, has existing clientele, and it has the ability to attract new people as well. So it's a state-of-the-art offering. It has recurrent revenue stream. Energy is going to be doing marketing and visibility to drive new patients to get the service. So we're leveraging referral networks like here with Breck. I'm all about education marketing. So there's going to be patient seminar type things, webinars where people, the consumer, will get educated on the benefits of sunlight and then where to get it. And so there's a real operational efficiency around that. It's not going to be a heavy lift to incorporate this new UVB light therapy into a functioning practice or pharmacy or anything like that. So we all know that the sun is the source and sustainer of life. We got brain cell activity going on that needs this serotonin, dopamine, you name it. All of this has been shown in over 1,200 studies over the last 100 years to affect it. We know that heart disease is the #1 killer of both men and women. Sunlight increases nitric oxide, just for one. Vasodilation. This is good for our bodies. And let's face it, we're in a great crisis. We have moved indoors. All right, we play video games inside. We're in offices. We're under fluorescent light. We do, and especially here in Arizona right now, we got 365 days of sunshine here, but it's 110 degrees outside, and it's not that comfortable getting my 2 hours of regular sunlight. So what if I could show you a way to get your proper dose of UVB sunlight in about 5 minutes and be done? Instead of being in the sun for 2 hours, how about you go, I want you to think about the photo booth in the old days at the local drug store, where you'd go in, close the curtain, take some black and white photos, boom, come out. This is almost going to be like a vending machine like that, where all these folks that have moved indoors for entertainment, for work, for everything, need to come outside. Why? Because we have a crisis of disease in this country. We are managing disease. We are not creating health. And by getting the proper amount of sunlight, we can begin as medical professionals, providers, to begin creating health through the regular dosing of proper sunlight, which is the UVB. And what you see here is all of the aspects of health that proper UVB exposure can touch on. And again, FDA, we're not making any outrageous claims or anything like that, but it has been shown to affect MS, Parkinson's disease, some of these big ones, melanoma, which we already talked about. And then just the feel-good stuff of having better serotonin and dopamine levels, like when you're in nature, when you go camping or something like that, and you've had that sunlight or you've been on vacation, you just feel better. You feel better in your brain. And that, to me, is what alternative medicine is all about, what preventive medicine is all about. And here's probably the hardest part in this business is people don't like to spend money on prevention. They spend money after they're sick. And the data shows that most people in their life will spend most of their retirement savings in the last 5 years of life due to a health crisis. So being a promoter of health, being a promoter of prevention, I think is where we need to be to help people in this culture to really think about their health. And we can do it economically, we can do it efficiently, and we can create a habit in people to just get some UVB exposure. We can touch on all of these 88 health benefits. So the device is very simple. We're only sunning the torso of the body, meaning below the chest line to the waistline, front and back. The machine is operated completely on an app, which I'm going to show you. So it requires no involvement of your staff. It does use the FITS1 skin test, the FITS skin test, to determine the skin type. Darker individuals actually require more sunlight. Heavier individuals require more sunlight. So based on the test and the quiz that happens in the app, the machine knows exactly the proper dose. I've always said the difference between medicine and poison is the dose. So having the proper dose of UVB for who you are, that's what this technology enables you to do. So we deliver it accurately in a controlled dosage, and it's not weather dependent. So if you're living, I think I got a slide here on the 35th parallel, which goes like below Nevada and through the middle, the border of North Carolina, South Carolina. If you live above that 35th parallel, that is where the cancer rates increase, right? That is where the melanoma is more. The further north you go, we have a greater incidence of those things. So it starts with an app. Everything is run on the app. The machine doesn't turn on without the app. If you back away from this device here, the machine automatically shuts off. So it is completely controlled by the app. So it's really convenient, simple to use, has all different kinds of functions in it. It does the skin testing. We're going to be doing health surveys on the app to see the improvement of getting regular UVB light. And people will subscribe to this to get their dose once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week, whatever they feel like they can get done. And then we've got some numbers here that Breck will go over with you and all that, or I can go over with you if this is something you think might be a good fit for your practice, or if you know people that have practices and it would be a good fit. We do have an affiliate situation also where you can generate some income by being a promoter and spreader of the good news. I do want to open it up for questions is really the main thing that I want to do here. I just want you to know that it's a turnkey subscription-based revenue stream. The unit hangs on the wall, we install it. Patients come into the practice, go up to the machine, take their shirt off, 2 minutes on the front, 2 minutes on the back, put their shirt back on, and they leave. It does not require any front desk interaction. It does not require any interaction with your existing staff. So you could basically put the unit in a closet somewhere and somebody comes in, yeah, I'm here to get my energy treatment. Yeah, it's over there. And the app will tell them what to do, how to do it. Everything is in the app. And so is the cash collection is in the app. We do a complete revenue share with you. By the 10th of the following month, we look at what the subscription volume was in that location on the machine. And by the 10th of the following month, we give you the revenue share on that. Okay, so that's how it works. It only requires about 25 square feet. I think it's even less, maybe 20 square feet, virtually no labor. I think we're going to have nice long retention. Think of like the tanning bed industry. Think of just, residual, reciprocal type industries. This is going to be something that when we educate the patient on the medical benefits, minimal capital outlay, as you saw on that one slide, it's only $1,200 to get started. We do that with $600 up front and then $600 out of the first portion of your revenue share. So it's very different than buying a $30,000 laser or something like that to get into aesthetics or to do other things. I mean, some of those machines can get very, very pricey and the payments on them are pretty fat. So this is something where it's a very low cost to get in. So that's what I'd like to turn it over to you guys to ask some questions while I still have a little bit of time here.
Bill.
So have you done some double-blind placebo-controlled studies on the first thing? What do you usually see as outcome? What can they expect? And were those controlled studies with some other type of light versus your light to see if there was effectiveness in it?
Yeah, so what we're leveraging is over the last 100 years, there've been about 1,200 studies done. Now, are they professional placebo-controlled type studies? 100 years ago, they weren't doing that, right? But there's a book called Embrace the Sun, which one of the doctors that wrote that book is on our medical board of advisors. And so we are leveraging that study data that has happened. I mean, to do a blind placebo-controlled study costs millions of dollars. And so no, we're not running any of our own studies. We're leveraging the studies that have already been done to the benefit of UVB light, not making any hard and fast claims on that. That we're going to cure any kind of disease. Again, we're in the preventive space, we're in the alternative medicine space here, where light therapy, and you can see the proliferation of red light therapy in the med spa industry going across the country, blue light therapy. So the consumer is already accepting light therapy. This is just now UVB light therapy, and it's a very thin band. It's a very thin spectrum of invisible light. And so for the data on that or the studies on that, there's literally over 1,200 studies that correlate the benefits of UVB light with about 88 different health benefits. And we can
there's no like typical things that people see as far as outcome.
Well, the outcome we're going to measure, and this is something I'm working with Breck on. He's got some cool diagnostic tests that can be done inexpensively and quickly at home tests. And so we're looking at the immunofactors, vitamin D, of course. The average American has a D3 level of 25 or 30 these days. The range is from 20 to 100. I like to keep mine above 50. The vitamin D research over the last 10 years, if you keep your vitamin D3 level over 50% reduction in all types of cancer, 6-fold decreased risk of breast cancer. There's a lot of data on D3, but what we know from the other 1,200 studies is that taking D3 by oral supplementation, you will raise your D3 level, but it is the universe of factors that happen enzymatically through the sunshine that actually link D3 to the immune system. That's what that data is showing. So D3 alone, just through supplementation, is not as effective as true sunlight. And the only problem that we're solving with this technology is that people do not schedule themselves for 20 minutes of sunshine every day, right? And so how could you otherwise get that benefit? And so the only thing we've done is patent the LED chip and figured out how to get an LED chip to emit 95% UVB light and only 5% UVA light. That's where the technology is, that if UVB light is good for you, how do you get it? That's the problem we solved. How you get it is in 4 minutes, 1 time a week, 2 times a week, 3 times a week. Whenever you can get by the facility to get the light, you just get the light.
Everything we can measure, we will measure. So we're very much focused on test therapy test. And so patients will be coming back in 6 to 8 weeks to be retested to show an increase in everything we can measure. Vitamin D just being the low hanging fruit.
You're going to create a database for each patient for all the various tests.
Well, the app itself will do regular health surveys, basically asking how you're feeling, right? And the different testing parameters. So we're going to have a massive amount of data on the other side of the app to see why people continue. I stopped into a practice the other day and a lady was from Washington State, and she's now here in Arizona for about 6 months. And she told me, well, I just feel happier, is what her response was, by being even exposed to daylight instead of perpetual clouds, that we have in the Pacific Northwest and stuff. And I grew up in Queens, New York, where it could be cloudy for 2 weeks, in a row or longer. We take the sun for granted here, but still we do not get as much light as we should be getting.
Yeah, I felt happier moving from Memphis to Arizona too.
Well, Breck, I was talking about you collecting data as well and putting the two things together.
Yep. Yeah, part of the testing, that's exactly the home testing solutions that we're coming up with is very driven by data, and that will actually bring the cost of tests down. My big project is to get a comprehensive pharmacogenomics test, which runs between $550 to $1,000 today. We want to get those down to about $99 a test. So, Moshe, you had a
couple
question?
questions. First of all, you said everybody will get about 2 minutes, and the machine or through the app determines it. I'm an Ashkenazi Jew, so my results might be different than Breck's. Does that make the adjustment for the different people from different places where they come from?
Yeah, that is what the test is. Before you get the ability to use the machine, you're going to go through all that. And it does it all on the app, where your file, your record, and it follows you along on the app. So no matter what machine you go visit, it knows who you are, and it basically uses QR code technology on the machine to sync the app to that particular space. But yeah, it knows who you are, and you have to answer all the proper questions. Like if you're a skin 1 type, you don't get to use it. So if you're too fair-skinned and you answer the FITS test questions, there are some people who will be like, no, this is not a therapy for you.
Okay,
Yeah.
Next question. If I understood earlier from a comment, and I'm trying to think who she was, it Ms. McBride? I think it was Cheryl McBride. The people will pay so if I'm coming in to have a treatment, who am I paying to have the treatment? How much does the treatment normally cost?
So in my slide, there was a little bit. It starts off at $39 a month, goes to $49 a month. They can subscribe up to $120 a month, depending on how often. You can't do more than 1 treatment a day. And it'll lock you out. So whatever the subscriber decides that they want to do, and when we install a device, the first 30 days are going to be free. So everybody can download the device, try it out for a month free of charge, and then they can decide what subscription level they'd like to join. So whatever the cumulative total of subscriptions are at your location or whatever location, we measure that at the end of a 30-day period. And by 10 days later, we will have ACH that revenue to the hosting account.
So you're going to know that I came X amount of days during that month. So now the store doesn't have to keep any record of it. It's all in the computer.
Exactly. It's all through the app. So each device has a QR code on the device that the patient scans the device to open up the app.
Mm-hmm.
So
But
it
the point
knows
is
what the proper setting is specific to that patient. So if you went in before me, I'm not going to get your dose because I have to scan the machine to calibrate it to me.
from the perspective of the business, though, they don't have to worry about labor in a sense of at all, because you just walk in, as long as there's no one else in there already, they can just walk right in and
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
it. So it's a great,
And-
it's a great aspect from that perspective.
Very
And if
beautiful.
if somebody is in using it, that person will have to wait maybe 5 minutes to use
No, I
it.
understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what is it, how, I know you do a revenue share, so how do you work out the revenue share? What's your formula?
Well, with this group here, I'm going to let Breck work that out. So there is an amount that we have to share. And so depending on how, interest comes in through Breck on this deal, that's how we're going to figure out what the share of the hosting practice is.
Let me try the question a different way, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean it that way completely, but do you have a revenue share that adjusts based on not the number of, well, I don't want to say the number of uses, but the number of people who are in plan. So as that increases, the revenue share to the facility will increase because they're the ones that are doing the marketing to bring the people in to take advantage of this new
Yeah,
service.
that naturally grows for them, right? So it's basically 40 to 50% of whatever the subscription base is going back to the hosting, clinic or pharmacy. And the more patients that pharmacy or clinic brings on, the more, the more credit that they're getting. Now, here's a question, and Bob will get to you, so don't forget your question. But because the patient is scanning let's say they signed up at Pharmacy ABC in Texas, but they're here visiting in Arizona, so they jump into Pharmacy ABC here in Arizona and do a session. Does the Texas pharmacy get the credit for that, or does the Arizona pharmacy get the credit?
It's whoever they subscribe through. So if they
Okay.
subscribe through the Texas pharmacy would get credit, because it's not based on the number of uses or where the uses happen. It's based on the
Subscriptions
Yeah.
and where they subscribed at. Yeah,
Just
perfect.
for round numbers, let's say you're on a 40% rev share, and they have $100 subscription, you're going to get $40 a month for that client maintaining their subscription, and a $100 subscription would allow them to use it 4 times a week, right? So they would use it wherever 4 times a week, but that practice that signed them up, or they initiated their subscription at a particular location, that subscription stays with that location.
Yeah,
You-
perfect.
that's
Bob,
gonna
you had a question?
Yeah, is my muted?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Is this app on the Apple or Google App Store?
It will be next week. It should
Oh.
launch on Friday. Yep. Yeah, this is very, 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 very new. So you're on a leading edge of something that's, in 3 years from now, it's going to be everywhere. Just like pellets are everywhere now.
Yeah. Masha?
Real quick, you may want to come up with some kind of a solution so that you have different places cooperating with one another with some kind of agreement, because if I'm in Texas or Arizona and go to the other place has no advantage they get nothing out of my coming in there. So you may wanna work something out.
Except for our retail pharmacies. We do want foot traffic into our retail pharmacies.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not going to be the rule, it's going to be the exception. So if you're a location and some stranger walks in the door that's from out of town and they want to use your machine for 4 minutes, in my opinion, it shouldn't be a big deal. Let them go in there, use the thing, and
No, I'm looking at it from a resort town situation. You start putting these in Las Vegas, for example, or whatever. You start putting these in resort areas. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but the point is that there needs to be some kind of, in my view, some kind of reciprocal agreement of some kind for compensation as that grows.
Yeah, and I'm certain they could do, we could do like a one-use, subscription as well. Because that's basically like a punch card, right? You have a punch card for how many times, 10 visits. Yeah, that could be sold for somebody that's going to be in an area for just a short period of time.
yeah, and we can program whatever we'd like to program into it. This is right now a beta launch in the Phoenix metro area. So we're not even going outside the state of Phoenix right now. I mean, the state of Arizona is just in this Phoenix metro area. to place about 50, 60 machines in the general area so that we can work out any bugs that might exist, get feedback from different practices and see what's happening or what should be happening. And then we make those adjustments before we, let's say, go national.
Yep. Bob?
Do you have a website for this?
Yeah, energy.com. It's not super fancy or super informative, but there is energy spelled the way we spell it, ENYRGY.com. And I'll pop my, I have my contact information here also, but the main contact is Breck. I'm just supporting Breck in his, networking here. And it's something that we synced up on. We thought it would be a nice, again, cash-based revenue stream for locations that do have foot traffic, that have repeat customers. Because, in a gym environment where we're going to have these and different things where people will come in more often. And I'm thinking in the pharmacy environment right now, oh, there's something on the shelf, or there's something here, or there's something else that I can get. Because I'm in the space, it might preclude me to pick something up while I'm here. So just having people coming through the physical space, in my opinion, more traffic's better than no traffic, and creating that habit of why somebody would be coming to that physical location, maybe more than just picking up a script once a month or something like that, is just better, because then you can create other cash-based options that are in the space, whether it's diagnostic testing or some other cash-based profit center for that location.
And testing for the benefits of the light therapy, showing the improvement of everything that we can test for with that as well. And I know, Damar is a consultant to community pharmacies, and Dr. Kelly is a PharmD. They know this very well. If our community pharmacies don't figure out a way to bring about a third of their revenue in from non-dispensing, they're going to die. So if these community pharmacies cannot get at least 1/3 of their revenue through other means like energy, like point of care testing, all these other programs that are non-dispensing revenue, they will absolutely die. They're getting killed with not just the reimbursements. The reimbursements used to be 36% back when I first started in pharmacy. Today, they're like 3 to 5%. That's not the only area they're getting killed, but there's this weird thing called a direct indirect remuneration, or DIR. If someone would like to explain to me what a direct indirect remuneration is, I'd love to hear your definition of that. But it's basically a way for the drug cartels, which are your big PBMs, Optum Rx, Express Scripts, and CVS Health or Caremark. Those drug cartels go claw back payments from the pharmacies, and they call it a DIR fee, direct or indirect remuneration. That DIR fee has gone up. Inflation goes up by what, a little more this year than usual, right? But maybe 6-7% per year until the last couple of years. This has gone up by 9,000%. So imagine a gallon of milk that's $4 today. That's like a $3,600 gallon of milk. To put it in perspective. So the pharmacies have to move into more cash paying revenue sources like energy to survive.
Yeah, and in business, with all the physicians I've worked with, it's always been the question, well, how do you expand? Do you put $50,000 worth of capital into something or more to hopefully generate enough revenue? And then you have to have a marketing plan, and you have to have all these other aspects to actually generate revenue with a new idea. And that is a challenge. And so what I think we've created here is a simple way where there's no upfront huge capital investment into something. And if you have 20 square feet of space that you can put something on the wall with a 110 outlet, and then leverage the marketing, let's say, that we're going to do in the Phoenix area initially, you always have this difference. And when you're first starting out, the B2B aspect, we need locations to send people to. And once we have some locations to send people to, well, then we can do the B2C marketing on social media or whatever as a company, saying, hey, go seek out a location. And it's the same thing we had to do in pellet therapy. We had to, have 700 providers across the country before we could leverage radio and television and different things like that. If there's no place for people to go to get the therapy, you really can't use mass marketing, right? But once we have it, some kind of critical mass of locations around the city, then we can flip the switch and invest in driving more subscribers to whatever location is near them.
Yep. Moshe, did you have another question?
I think you answered. The question was, there's no upfront fee for the facility then?
There's only right now it's $1,200. $600 is upfront to get the machine, and typically this is a $30,000 machine. The technology and the R&D and everything like that. A laser company or somebody like that would charge about that much for the device because of the potential to generate the revenue on it. So we're doing 600 just cash up front, and then 600 out of generated revenue, which we hope to see in the first 30 to 60 days at least. The sweet spot is about 45, 50 subscribers on a location on a machine. So if a practice or a business has that kind of traffic coming in or people coming in, and they could, do some promotion. We'll have the pop-up banners. We're going to have some literature available, brochures, things like that to promote it. So that's really your only investment into the thing is a total of $1,200. And that's,
What about if they decide they don't want, if they have the machine, first of all, is there a minimum period of time they have to keep the machine? Second of all, if they decide not to continue with it for whatever reason, what is the cost to them if there is one for removing the machine?
Yeah, there's no cost to remove the machine. Like we'll hire the handyman to mount it on the wall, and we just need an outlet kind of in the space. So it just, takes maybe an hour to install the device. It's not a big deal. It screws and unscrews just like hanging up a cabinet basically. But we pay
So for our pharmacy partners that don't have a separate private consult room, again, Gunther mentioned that it only takes 20 square feet. You can just use a corner and actually just hang up a privacy curtain, and the patient goes, and they don't even have to take your shirt off. Honestly, you just lift it up and get exposure in the front, and then the same in the back. But yeah, there'll be private areas provided for the patients that come in.
We can do it with a curtain or something like that. A lot of women these days are wearing sports bras and stuff like that. Like if they're on their way to the gym or they're going to go work out or something, then you don't even have to take your shirt off, because it's just below the chest line is where that device will belly up, and just above the belt line. So it's just in the torso area that the light needs to go.
Yep. DeMar.
Thanks. I'm sorry I got in late. Is there a way to see what it looks like? I mean, what the device looks like when it's installed?
Yep. Let me go. When it's installed, I'm just going to send you the picture here. Let me just share this one again. We don't have, you see this one here with the arm?
So we're just seeing the tennis picture right now.
Okay, wrong one. Hold on. Let me see. Okay, I got the wrong screen here that I'm sharing. Hold on. Not that one. Nope. This one. Okay. How about that?
There you
go. Okay.
So we had it on an extension arm like that, but we changed it now. The way it's going to be, it's a track that just mounts flat on the wall, and this box is limited to the track, so it doesn't come out as far. It's closer to the wall, so this box just really slides up and down a track, so you're just adjusting it for your height. And it can go adjusted to somebody that's 6 foot, 8 foot tall, or a 5 foot person tall. That box just slides up and down on a track, so it doesn't extend out, and that's why we're using less space now even than the 25 square feet.
And DeMar, I'll send you the full recording so you can see the full presentation after.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Moshe, you have your hand up?
The question I have, you mentioned places may not have a room. So my thought would be possibly if those places that give shots, they probably have some kind of a curtain, whatever, in a small area. And they may be able to do that same thing with the machines, so that way they could handle. Does that seem right? Or am I?
What we've done in the past is you just mount a curtain to the ceiling on a little track, and just like in a hospital situation, you can just slide the curtain around on the track.
Okay, thank you.
Paul.
All right, so I've been listening to this whole thing, and just as a comment, from what Breck has said, some of these community pharmacies are just starving for space. But why have you looked at just putting these in? It seems like if this is a health item, if I have a health spa and there's tons of health spas that have the space, and that's part of their membership program, part of their whatever that you get this. Have you looked into? Because to me, I'm trying to put my head around that I'm going to go get sunshine from a pharmacy, as opposed to I'm going to go get sunshine from my health club, from my thing where I continually get asked, where have you been? Why are you out in the sun? All of this stuff. And that's where I get badgered. The pharmacy, I'm going to get my Snickers bar and try to figure out why my copays don't work here, and like I said, I have a Walgreens right on the corner. Unfortunately, Access deals with CVS or United Healthcare, so it's like, why am I going to the pharmacy anyway? And their Snicker bars are that great priced.
Yeah, and that's good point. But it comes with the deficiencies, right? When a pharmacy is really working with their patients and understand deficiencies that they're trying to make up for, like vitamin D, then obviously it's perfect sense to be at the pharmacy.
Yeah, I'm going to say it's not for every location. Like if you are space deficient, it may not work for you. But if there is just a little bit of space, this is the interaction between the PharmD or the owner of the business or whoever's interacting with these patients. So I think about pharmacies that do a lot of oral hormone supplementation, where they're filling those prescriptions, and whether it's vitamin B12 or vitamin D, or you're the pharmacist, you're the one that's interacting with this patient. And if you take that extra step and get engaged in their health and really want to help them, because maybe their family practice doctor or their OBGYN or somebody like that is just, let's face it, not that good, and not really following, let's say, a preventive type medical philosophy, and everything is tied to, let's say, the big pharma mandates, right? A small locally owned business that wants to increase its cash-based revenue, let's face it, you would have to sell, right? And you would have to recommend, and you would have to introduce, and you would have to, take some of that action to create a long-term sustainable revenue stream into your practice that does not require, let's say, the cashier to get involved, or the MA or the PA, or nobody has to get involved in this process. I think of a location in which somebody can just walk in, they know where the device is, they belly up to the device, operate it on their app, 5 minutes later, they're leaving, and you might see them 3 times a week. And maybe one time that week, they pick up a bottle of vitamin C or something, or you have some other supplements, or you have a cleansing package, or there's other things that you can add to.
Or we're doing the test therapy test and showing where the improvement has come. Yeah, Phil.
Medical stuff, the big dollars are in whatever people can get reimbursed from for their insurance. There is a supplemental code for infrared light therapy that people can use as a billing code on their insurance. Are you guys in that place where if you're some type of physician that you want to get the billing code back from the insurance company to promote it, or have you looked at it that way, or not quite?
No, we have not looked at it that way. And, my personal philosophy as a chief revenue officer is insurance. I'm like that. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm just saying if someone gets if you get a Medicare code, you're going to get paid forever. So I'm just bringing it out. I didn't know if you guys were.
It's something we could work on. So our initial target is those who are, administering red light therapy already, or they're already in that space. That's the low hanging fruit, right?
Yeah.
Is people that are already doing this. The gym environment might be the next. And just in meeting Breck, he's like, hey, I've got this network of independent pharmacies all over the country that need to generate some passive income, basically passive renewable subscription-based income. How do you do that? That is the holy grail of making money, all right, is passive renewable subscription-based income.
Yep.
You can show me 5 other ways to do that, I want to know about them, because to me, that's what my entrepreneurial life has been around, is
Yeah.
you create subscription-based renewable revenue month in, month out, that check shows up.
Yeah, it's almost like selling insurance, right, Jeff?
Right.
Jeff, you're up
Yes.
next.
Yeah, and what I do is not insurance, but it is healthcare, and it's revolutionary, transformative, disruptive. And just for you, Gunther, you and I should talk. And I love what you're saying, because I believe in the power of sunlight. It's just that sunlight has a few things in it that if you get too much of it, it really can't hurt you. But we need what the sun brings us. My question for you really is, with everything you just showed us, everything we just went over, I keep thinking, well, this device looks so simple, and I don't know what goes into it. I don't know what the cost is. But I keep thinking, well, why wouldn't it be marketed for home use? Why wouldn't you sell this for people to use at home? It's not.
So I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. If you were me, would you like me to sell you a device one time, or would you like me to sell you a subscription month after month after month after month after month? Which would you?
It just depends. I'm trying to answer that for you, but that's a good question. I just think we're becoming more and more of an Amazon-oriented society, where we order things on Amazon. We don't really want to drive for an hour to do a 10-minute treatment and then drive home an hour or half an hour or whatever. We're kind of focused on that. So I'm being a devil's advocate. I'm just saying, hey, a lot of people would like, I think, if the model's feasible, maybe you could do both. Maybe it's a subscription thing, and if you want to buy it, you can buy it and pay for it. I don't know. I see society going that way, and as much of that as you can do if it's not dangerous, why not do it?
Yeah, it comes down to the cost of it, right? Because 50 grand today, that's one of the reasons why that bioelectromagnetic energy device we put in the clinics, so that patients have access to it, because they're not going to be able to just pull out 6 or 7 grand to have that device at home.
True. I just don't know what the cost is. So I have no idea, no clue what all that means. It just looks like the device looks very small to me. So I'm thinking, what is that? What's the cost of that device?
It is, but you always have to put in the R&D and everything that it took to get to the patent process. I mean, this has been under development for 8 years. All right, it's been under development for a long time. And so to actually get UVB light to come strictly out of an LED card is a little bit of a trick, and to manufacture that LED card. And yes, it'll be less expensive when we do it at volume. Therefore, producing 10,000 units a month is very different than producing 20 units a month, right? The economy of scale changes. But I'm thinking about the independent pharmacy in places I used to sell meat and seafood back in the 90s, Hugoton, Kansas, Liberal, Kansas. I had a route down there in the southwest corner of Kansas. And there was a main street, and I sold stuff door to door in those towns. And I remember the drugstore, I remember the pharmacy, that kind of location. And if they're dying, and a lot of these towns are dying, but there's a hair salon in town, there's a doctor in town, there's a dentist in town, there's somebody in town. But if that population, and maybe there's only population 3,000 people, but if that person that owns that business would educate that community and do some patient seminars and bring some in, do a webinar, do some education, that location could create a nice, sustainable revenue by having the people in that town stop in for 4 minutes, get their sunlight, and leave.
Yeah.
And it would be turnkey. And you want to stay alive in business on Main Street in a small town in rural, look how many rural communities there are. They're drying up and they're blowing away in the wind. So this is what I think about, is how do I give that business owner a way to provide a service that is related to health and is beneficial and make some good revenue coming off of it.
Yeah. Thank you. I want to be respectful for everyone's time. We're getting close to the top of the hour here. So Paul, Damar, did you want to ask real quick? You were ahead of Paul.
I want to kind of really paint that picture that Gunther started to talk about, that instead of seeing the pharmacy as the big box stores that you go in to pick up a candy bar, I want you to go back to the future, like the movie, and see the pharmacy as the destination point for healthcare.
Yeah.
Because that's what it was 50 years ago, 100 years ago. And so that's what people like Breck and Gunther and myself are looking to do, is to find those people, businesses that want to step up and put healthcare back in the pot, back into the, the reach of people, irrespective of insurance. Because we're in a disease management era right now, and we don't have health. And so what Gunther is proposing with this device, as well as ServeRx, is the future, where we have interactions, and the pharmacist becomes no different than the physician, in the fact that they see the person coming in, they get the test, and they can see that their health has changed. What better time to interact with them when you've been seeing them on a monthly basis and you see that they're not, something's not right with them. That's the pharmacy that I want to go to. So
Yeah.
Sorry to get on a soapbox, but
yeah, no, it's right in line. Perfect. Paul.
Yeah, no, I was just, and again, I'm subject to the big pharmacies, and I haven't been into a small pharmacy in ages. And you're right; those were the old, the Mayberry drugstore that they knew everybody in town and so forth. So yeah, that's not there. But as far as answering Gunther's question, I've got a couple of workout machines that I paid money for, and they're here, and I don't have to drive for 20 minutes and park and do all of this and that and that. It's here. And so you're asking me, would I rather buy it or give you money every month? I probably have to buy it. Why am I feeding you every month? And that's the response I get in my business. It's like, that's why some of us have yearly membership or lifetime membership. We say, look, for $1,000, you get a lifetime membership into my business. Or for the year, it's $500 for the year, as opposed to $47 a month. And
right.
So that just to answer your question, that's my answer to you. But
yeah. One day
we don't like driving places anymore.
Right. One day when we're at economy of scale and we're producing 10,000 units a month, I see us being able to sell that device to you for, let's say, $997. But just like Peloton or something like that, there will be an annual subscription fee to make that machine work.
Yep.
Right. So you can have the machine on your wall.
There you go.
Look, just like you guys would like subscription-based income, we're building a company that likes subscription-based income also. So the subscription is not going to go away. The cost of the device may go down so that you can have infinite locations of the device, but there's still going to be you can see how Peloton did that during the pandemic, and other device manufacturers, even the people that sell lasers to med spas and stuff like that. What do they have? They have disposables that you have to buy. You can buy a $100,000 machine. You do 1 million pulses on that machine, and it's going to cost you another $35,000 to change the heads on that machine. Okay. So if you don't calculate that right, you could go negative really easily. But if we can provide a machine, let's say someday we can produce these things and 3D print them, and all this kind of stuff's been figured out, and we can make a device for $100, and we could sell it for 300 or something, and then charge you, like you said, $500 a year to have it in your home conveniently. So you step out of the shower and you get your UVB light. That is coming in the future. It's just not now. Yeah. But I do have to run. Breck. Hey, pleasure meeting you all. Happy to interact with you. Get with Breck. I got to jump on another call here.
Yep. Thank you, everybody. Appreciate it. We didn't take time to do any breakouts today, but I think it was well worth staying in the main room and getting as much information as we possibly can. So thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Okay.
Take care.
Thank you.